radio. Shout it.
Hot 107.9, it's your boy Behind. Stepping in the building, I got an actress, philanthropist, activist, and producer in here, Erika Alexander. How you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you, Brian. I'm glad to be with you. How are you?
I am doing great. I'm glad that you're here today. And first, let's get straight to it. This new John Lewis documentary, Good Trouble. How did you find yourself getting involved with it?
Well, you know, I've done a lot of work with political and inside of campaigns as a surrogate. I'm Hillary Clinton's most traveled surrogate. I've worked afterwards with Stacey Abrams and Ayanna Pressley and people like Mike Espy, gone to Mississippi. I've tried to stand up and do my part as I could. But during these years, I think destiny brought the congressman and me together. I campaigned in Georgia with Congressman Lewis, with Stacey Abrams and Ayanna Pressley in 2006. And they were like, it was like being on the dream team. And so Ayanna and Stacey and I had the privilege to travel around Georgia and learn from John Lewis how to be young, gifted, and Black in American politics down South. And he was the perfect teacher. He helped us, you know, not only by showing us how to do it. He was a patient host. He was a gentleman. He opened our doors. He helped us up the steps. It was actually just amazing. But, you know, after that, I didn't know that that would lead me to being part of his documentary. I have a company called Color Farm Media, and I'm a producer as well as an actress, and have built up my skill sets in different ways. And so Rachel O'Neal, who works for the John Lewis office, knew that. He's his constituent services representative. She's my friend. She was our conduit to the congressman for the film. Another friend introduced me and my partner, Ben Arnon, to Dawn Porter, and her producing partner, Laura Michael Chizen. And that's another dream team. Dawn Porter's been making films, documentaries, amazing. Bobby Kennedy for President, Gideon's Army for years. She's, and we turned out they were asked by CNN to do a John Lewis documentary. They hadn't looked at our materials, but shortly after that, we decided, hey, let's work together on his film. And that's what we did.
What was it like being around John Lewis all of this time? Because see, one of the things that I love about John, right now we have a lot of people that are activists and that work hard to move the culture forward, but John literally had to put his life on the line every day. So when he spoke about the pressures of being an activist back in those times, what were the things that he said, and what were some of the things that you picked up from him?
Well, I mean, you said the key. I think we talked a little bit about it, that, you know, you said he put his life on the line. He's got skin in the game. He does. He earned his Good Trouble moniker and his icon status the hard way. He's committed his life to the fight for civil rights. He's believes in justice for all. He did it without malice. He did it armed with courage, just courage, and the courage of his convictions, and the abiding philosophy of nonviolence and peaceful protest, but unrelenting peaceful protest, and a love for the beloved community. So what is it like being around somebody who's lived his life for fighting really hard for civil rights and social justice, but only by opening his palms up and saying, you can beat me down, you can tear me down, I'll come back tomorrow and let you do it. Because he said he gave those people the privilege to change their ways each time he showed up. And so there's not many people who would want to do that right now. I certainly am not one of those people, but I really regard that type of love for country and community, and he earns his status as one of the founding fathers of America by showing us that example. So I'm grateful. And by the way, I spent the whole time like this. And, you know, as I should be, because I realize I'm living history next to him. I'm invited to be at the table in a different way as a storyteller. But that man told his own story. We just need to get out the way and let him be in the spotlight, as he should be.
Those are the facts. What do you think about this documentary coming out now during the time of worldwide national protests going on?
Well, let me ask you, what do you think about it, since you're in media and you sort of predict how audience are going to take it? What do you think, Brian, this can do?
I think that this was God's plan, because at the end of the day, you know, you couldn't have timed it any better than this right now. This is what people need to see. These are the directions on how to go about a protest and moving the culture forward. So with him dropping the rule book in the middle of all of this, I mean, it's only going to make the protest even more powerful going forward. And I mean, it's a necessity right now.
Thank you. So that's the freaky part, that as you say, you couldn't have timed it better, but you wouldn't have wanted to time it in this at all, because nobody wants to be inside of a pandemic and, you know what I mean? And the huge depression that is now in the world because everybody's lost their jobs or they're dealing with illness and sickness and death by the hundreds of thousands, millions of people are ill. So we're living in unprecedented times, and we're grateful. I am grateful to be alive while so many other people have died. It's hard to focus on our work, but it's important to keep going. Stay safe, keep going. The virus has changed everything, including Hollywood. It's totally shut down. It's difficult to get in any theaters. We've had to create new partnerships with the NAACP, UNCF, NBA, NFL, AARP, all them alphabets. You hear me? We are doing it. But the thing is, and you can see this also on the, I know you've been watching the Versus challenges on Instagram. And they found a way to use Instagram in a way that people hadn't thought about because here we are all sitting one place. But that's going to be a new type of battle sort of theater experience that people will carry on with. How people are talking and specifically addressing their audiences or people that follow them, and being mindful that those people aren't there just to like your button. You can talk to them and they can talk to you. I'm glad it happened. I'm sorry it needed to happen in this space, but now we have a Black Lives Boulevard in front of the White House, baby. So if we're part of that type, did you see John Lewis on the boulevard like this? The man's been diagnosed with pancreatic stage 4 cancer.
What?
Yes, that was at the top of this year. I knew this year was going to be a doozy. He came out of all of this to be diagnosed with pancreatic stage 4 cancer. And here he is during his treatment. He comes out to show young people. He wanted them to know, I see you. You're doing the right thing. Keep going. Say something. Stand up, as he said. Fight. This is good trouble. Come on.
For you personally, Erika, as a producer, being able to produce John Lewis's documentary, what has this meant to you?
Well, let's just put you like this. John Lewis learned that the most powerful, non-violent, tool for change and movement was the right to vote. So he can work every day to defend it, to work hard and protect the right for everyone. I certainly believe that I can take from that example and realize that whatever small things that I might come up against being in this game, can be so difficult and disappointing. No matter what, people see me as a great success, and they are right. I am. I've had a career since I was 14. I've done some iconic shows. From their eyes, some of them are iconic characters. But Erika Alexander had all sorts of other things that she wanted to do, that those doors were closed to me. They were closed to other actresses. They were closed to people outside of this game. And trying to open those doors, trying to stop the rampant racism and bias and gender and ageism. It's a doozy. That ain't nothing compared to dog biting me and fire hoses and, and spit on me and bombs in churches. I'm like, I'm good. I'm good. And Brian, ain't it true that people look at their lives and say, it ain't worth trying. I'm not going to vote. I said, your ass can't go to vote. Fannie Lou Hamer went and got sodomized and nearly killed in a jail to get the right to exercise her right to vote. You can't get your lazy ass, and let's just say it's lazy and it's selfish to go and make your voice known, then to hell with you. Because here's the thing. People keep saying they want to change the system. They said, yeah, but you just undergirding the system. I said, well, vote and change it. That's how you change it. You don't say, well, you can only do it from the bottom up. I said, well, if this bottoms up, your ass need to get your bottom up and go vote. Because then you change the undermining structure. Then you could talk about the sheriff in your town and the local educational authority and the water system in Flint and all these things. Their governor destroyed their water in Flint. That wasn't a presidential thing. In the federal system, 3 strikes you're out, stop and frisk, that's states. Why don't we start to learn the real civics lesson of this town? Is that if you want to change something with the structure that's there, despite going into a totally revolutionary mode, it's a great revolution to use the power, the tool you have, which is the vote. And if they're willing to put dogs on you and everything else to stop you, then they know how powerful it is. And if it's that powerful, in order to put gerrymandering and all these voter suppression tricks and the Russians get in on it and all that to undermine our vote, then imagine if we so overwhelm the system so hard that we can start talking about the Poor People's Campaign that Reverend Barber is doing in North Carolina and Goldsboro. We can start talking about Vote Run Lead, where women are now running in record units, or in record groups to try to be part of the process. We can start talking about the people who are incarcerated and not only getting them out, but getting them to be humanely treated, educated, reinstated, and then reevaluate how we see that system. But if you don't vote, they're doing it, and look at how horribly they've done it so far.
Exactly. Now, Erika, I wanted to touch a little bit on your story when you were talking about coming from success to success, but then also facing resistance at the same time. As a professor at Clark Atlanta University, I teach radio, television, and film as well. And when I hear those kinds of stories, I like to make sure that my students understand that, hey, everything is not just an uphill meteoric rise. Sometimes it gets real in the field. So can you talk to me about your motivation and what it was that kept you going during those times when you were like, you know what? I didn't see this coming.
No. And you're right, because it does get real in the field. I'm glad you're there, Professor.
Thank you.
You're not there to feed them a line of BS about how the world is waiting for them. It is not. Sorry. What it is waiting for is their resilience and their strength and relentlessness in the face of obstacles that overwhelm you. People think of the obstacle of not being a failure, right? They don't think about success. That's where the rubber meets the road. That's where many of our people, Black and brown, they're not prepared so much for that. They don't have the money guidance they needed. They don't have the psychological fortitude. They just have usually maybe a loose theology or philosophical thing about Jesus will make a way, God will provide, and whatever I can't do, I'm gonna blow it out. They ain't gonna make it. They ain't gonna make it because the IRS is coming. Bills and people who reject you because you got successful, your family treating you differently, making you feel bad for your success, or you feeling an overwhelming net need to try to take care of everybody when you can't. You got all that, including the racism and the pressure of, God, I did well. How can I do it again? You don't have to do it again. Just do it. Do your best. Show up. How do you show up? You get overwhelmed sometimes. You say, wow, I did it because I was hungry. I said, stay hungry, but don't stay unnurtured. You need nutrition. You need to read. You need to go see other people. You need to help other people. When you help other people, they'll help you. I promise you, it could be 10, 30 years later down the road, somebody's going to remember that you did that and they'd be like, yo, bro, I got this opportunity. That's what happened with Color Farm. Rachel O'Neal knew I had a production company. She thought, let me call my girl Easy E and get her on this doc. I wouldn't have had that opportunity other than that. So I'm glad you're telling them the truth. But I want to tell them right now is that they need to haul ass. Every day I try to tell myself to get up and do the work that I've been, I guess this is my gift. Sorry, the gift to me is to be inside of the business and do the best I can. But I have to get up and show up. I've got to eat nutritiously. This is my instrument. There's people wonder, oh, why do you look so good? I said, well, I'm Black, so I look like a lot of the women that Look at, you're a baby, I know, but your skin will be like that till you get into the casket. The point is that don't look under the hood. We got all sorts of stuff. I mean, we got gout and high blood pressure and anxiety and psychological breakdown and, diabetes. We need to treat ourselves better and do better. We need to lose that weight. We can't keep going around talking about we need to lose it, and we need to say no. No, I'm going to go with that salad. I know it's not fun. But guess what? That cake will be there 10 years from now. Will you?
Right.
We have to start making those sacrifices. And people don't know that's all connected to your psychological success and what you're able to sustain. I won't be able to predict what will come after those students, whether they're reach their goals or not. But I can predict that they can do it in a healthy way, and they must do it in a healthy way. We've lost so many, from Michael Jackson to Whitney Houston to all these. You can just go down the line. They had everything. They were the most talented people in the world. And many of them died as if they were in a Motel 6 off the street with no options. That's unacceptable, and we need to do better.
When you speak about anxiety and just mental health as a whole, you know, a lot of these students now, they have what they call post-graduation depression. Now, that's what they're going through. Can you talk to me about just having the mental fortitude to be able to get through Hollywood as an industry, and then also the realities of it versus the fiction of it?
You know, we went through that, or I went through those types of things after they, Living Single was over, and then they stopped doing Black television altogether from 2000 on until Shonda Rhimes. And Shonda Rhimes changed the game. Yes, they did. They did. You know, Everybody Loves Chris, and I think Bernie Mac's in there. But for the most part, after we had done our best, Cosby Show, Fresh Prince, Living Single, Martin, Family, all that stuff, gone, as if we hadn't made billions of dollars.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, including me, and during that time, that went bankrupt. That, you know, because people think, oh, you're making a lot of money. Well, you're making a lot of money after you pay taxes, after you pay 25% off for representation. And then after that, that's got to last you, if we had more business awareness, a lifetime. People had not planned for that. No one thought, being so young, that we wouldn't have any connection to the thing that we helped create, which was a real sort of blossoming of television, especially in the sitcom world. Bill Cosby and people like that did it to they were must-see he was must-see TV. Before him, it was Sanford and Son and Jeffersons and all those people. And we owe them a huge debt of gratitude. But here's what I'll say. It's true what they say, there's nothing new under the sun. You will come out and have to face all sorts of things. When I came out of high school, there was the Gulf War, and people were afraid to have to be drafted. Then that started the longest war in American history. And we still have all of that going on. And for the young people who decided to join the Army, they came back and they were all messed up. And then we had mass incarceration, and we had the crack epidemic. And if y'all just worried about finding a job, you know, I get it. But, and all that too, don't get me wrong. But there were people in World War I and II that once they left, they never came back. And they came back shell-shocked, shaking like this. You can look through time and see that. It's what are you going to do? I think you need to call your friends and ask how many ways you can partner up with each other. What can you learn? What new skill sets can you give yourself if you had the time to do it and didn't have the money to pay for that? Can you go and intern somewhere where you say, well, I'm not supposed to sit here. I'm going to go help that and volunteer in that position and learn it and how that works. So that's what people should do. Give themselves over to this moment, and in an optimistic attitude, lend yourself by saying, I don't need to make money, but I need to make an experience. I need to make greater variety of choices for myself. That never goes away. That's always there.
What do you think about taking advantage of this digital age and being able to produce and do things without needing the big machine behind you right now?
Well, that means there's a hell of a lot more chatter. You're competing against everyone's pontifications. Everyone thinks they're Oprah. That's true. I heard the comedian say that, and it's absolutely true. I think it's difficult because you can feel still so very small, and that, but you have to, I think, be single-minded a little bit and realize that your voice matters. And the big machine that you think is behind me is not behind me, it's behind a corporation, and I am a tool in that corporation, and I am hired for a specific job. And then after that, they throw us a party, and they say, thank you so much. And then when we go down the lot again, We have to show our ID in order to get on the same lot. There is no special gold passport for having to help build that lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how it is. So the wheel turns, and they should know that a huge corporation should have nothing to do with your success. You can be you get to also set the terms of your success,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that that's important. If it's based on a corporation backing you, then good luck. If it's based on you meeting your ambitions and goals and making a change in your life and the people that you love, and having and amplifying others, then you can win every time.
Mm-hmm. Lastly, I got to ask you about living single and what that whole experience was like for you. You were my favorite on the show too. Okay, you were my favorite, but can you talk to me about that experience right there?
It was the most fun I ever had on the set. I didn't know then that would be the most fun I'd ever had on the set. We laughed so much. I think that I'll cherish that, because laughter truly is a healthy way to live. And also, we were also very independently different.
Mm-hmm.
We were also headstrong, and yet we played as a team.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you throw the ball in comedy. You know, you don't always get the laugh. You got to know it's not really all about you, but you got to know that when you get it, this is your time to do it. And you don't have to work so hard when everybody is working for you. That's what it was like. Mm-hmm. It was like when you have a beautiful orchestra and you didn't know you all played well together.
Yeah.
And then it comes out. Yeah, you know how that is when we just be like, man, it was work. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But it didn't feel like it because we were having fun. We also learned how to be adults there. We were coming from our different places. You know, Dana was 22, 23. I'm 23. Mm-hmm. You know, and we didn't know what we didn't know. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad that we had the experience to learn some of that together. And also, there was some heartbreak on there too. Mm. People made unforced errors, mistakes that you realize now that didn't come out of any place mean or evil. It was just out of just being young. Mm-hmm. And we forgive ourselves for those moments, and we grow and understand that there are different pressures for different people, including ourselves. So it was fun.
That's awesome. Lastly, Good Trouble. Are there any parting words that you want to leave to people?
Yes, that it comes out July 3rd. And they should check it out. And on the streaming platforms would be Apple or any of those places you can get things from there. Also to be in theaters, believe it or not, the theaters that are open. So check it out. See if you want to do that. My suggestion is that you find one that's following all the rules, but also that's why it's made available online and in streaming. I also want to thank Congressman Lewis because he is. I want to give him my love every day through these interviews. And everyone should know that he's doing well through these treatments. But of course, it's difficult for a man his age and doing all that. But he's got that country blood. You know how that is?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They just got a whole nother beat. So you should know that and send him your love. And also thank everybody in the John Lewis office, Michael, his chief of staff, Rachelle O'Neill, who, if it wasn't for her, made it all happen. Dawn Porter, y'all need to know, follow this sister. She's she's one of the best filmmakers, documentarians of her generation. And give out a shout out to our composer, Tamar. She's amazing. We had so many wonderful things happen. So that's one. And Laura Michael Chisholm and Ben Arnon, Color Farm, Participant Media, and Magnolia, and CNN. It'll finally, in its last, it'll come out on September 27th on CNN. So you'll be able to see it there. It's the same people who did RGB, which was Ruth Bader, Ginsburg's doc. They've come together to do this. We're doing a fantastic social education campaign. Thank the Arthur Blank Foundation for their contribution to that. And we'll also finally live on HBO Max. You'll be able to see it after all that's done. And people need to vote. If you really want to honor John Lewis and his legacy, I think this is a voting day in New York. Please show up, show out, and vote. Don't start touting how things don't work. And no, if you haven't voted, then that means you don't work. Everybody else is going to run it. And so you can't complain if you don't show up. And if you want to really change it, then run.
That's
Run.
right.
Get involved. Show up at these places. And you can say, well, I'm working all the time to do that. I said, I get it. And I understand that there's something you can do. There's a way for your voice can be heard, even if it's just showing up at your child's school and monitoring who's teaching them. What are in the textbook? We need you. Don't forget that. We need everyone, but we need you.
That's
in
right.
order to have that more perfect union.
That's right. Thank you so much for your time, Erika.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
No problem. When you're in Atlanta, holler at me. I'm here for you. Whatever you want to promote, come on through.
I will, Mr. Hightower. I would love it. Thank you for this platform. Thanks for you, by the way. I don't say that enough, that we don't get the word out as performers and singers and all that without having our brothers and sisters in news, media, journalism, and the writing space telling that story. So I'm glad that you're visual. I'm glad that you're helping people discern and know what's going on. And they're not looking to CNN to do it. They're looking to you to do it. So thank you.
Right. Thank you. Talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.